Decocting medicine is a meticulous work like threading a needle. Chen Ping'an did it methodically and invading it. The boy exuded a kind of inexplicable happiness. However, the girl in black is not very patient. In fact, apart from practicing knives and swords, the girl is not very interested in anything. At a young age, she leaves her hometown, travels around alone, and lives in a rough way. Therefore, she doesn't feel uncomfortable with the little house with no walls. In fact, she lives in the wind and rain. The original exquisite people will become very careless. The girl asked, "Is your left hand okay?" Chen Ping'an, whose left hand was wrapped with cotton strips, was carrying a bowl of medicine with both hands. After the girl took over, she smiled. "It's all right. Before I went back to the alley, I found some herbal medicine to mash and apply to the wound. I used this for bruises and cuts when I was a kill worker. It's a secret recipe told me by an old man in the young shop a long time ago. But I promised the old man not to spread it, otherwise come missing. You might need it. If you want, I can go and find the old man of young shop beg him. But he went to the medicine shop in a hurry today. I didn't see the old man. I just hope he left temporarily." When the girl drank the medicine, her long eyebrows, which were not like willow leaves or narrow knives, wrinkled slightly, but she still drank the medicine soup without changing her face. After returning the porcelain bowl to the straw sandal boy waiting, she muttered, "Bad good man. No wonder she is so poor that she deserves to be bullied." Before the boy could react, the girl added, "Don't mind. I speak more straight." The girl probably doesn't know. This sentence is more hurtful. Chen Ping'an stopped talking. The girl in black wiped the residue of medicine soup from the corner of her mouth with her thumb, then sat upright and said solemnly, "The sage in charge of this world, that is, the scholar you said, is willing to help you finish it, so that you will have no worries about your life in the future. But you should know that when manpower is exhausted, even the sage is no exception. What's more, the situation of Mr. Dorje is not very good. It means that it is difficult for the Mud Bodhisattva to cross the river. I'm afraid he can't control your life and death in the future. I'd rather y'all be a person in the world. I'll repay you for your kindness. If you stare at me, you'll repay me." When manpower is exhausted, Young Huang will report, Jian will report, and Mud Bodhisattva will cross the river at this time. The girl's heart is full of unknown pride. "Listen, am I very knowledgeable? It's a pity that next door to Chen Ping'an, there lives a well-educated scholar, almost twice in the morning and evening every day. The neighbors have to read sages' books to make their aspirations clear. According to Song Jigsan's own saying, I am good at cultivating Haranche therefore. Chen Ping'an has never eaten pork and has seen pigs running. He is no stranger to the idea of reading humanistic crepe. Even if some obscure words are analyzed through the context, he can guess 8 or 9 times." The girl stared at Chen Ping'an, trying to find shock, admiration, and doubt from the boy's face. But Chen Ping'an had a beating expression of "I understand. Girl, you go on." The young girl is very discouraged. Her original high-spirited look has sharply reduced her edge, then has no good airway. For example, "If you save my life, I will help you kill for Nanhua of Laolong City or Liu Shenmao of Shijian Lake afterwards. But if you want to kill both, you will have to spend money to eliminate the disaster. Because we met by chance, we don't have such a deep friendship. So you need to use a bag of gold, refined copper money as a reward." The girl quickly pointed to the bag of spring-grading money. For example, "I like this bag very much. The other 2 bags of copper money supporting money and winning money are not good-looking, and the casting tax is not pleasant." Then the girl raised her chin slightly. "If you are willing to pay me 2 bags of copper money in addition to this deal, I will help you settle the old Dragon City and Xianxia Mountain. Of course, if I died illy in the hands of Liu Shenmao, don't mention it. After all, I'm not high in cultivation, and I'm just in the 6th realm of martial arts. As a pure martial arts man, my physical tenacity is not a big climber that as for the 15th level of cultivation and mountaineering the 15th floor. The realm of the 15th floor only reaches the Longman realm in the middle 5 realm. In the Dan room, I have 6 patterns. which have not succeeded in making the finishing point, or letting the heavenly daughter fly into the sky. Now Chen Ping'an is really confused and confused. The girl suddenly became angry with shame, and her stay was slow. She was always ashamed of her. Chen Ping'an's dimensional appearance of girl, explained to me again, undoubtedly stabbed the girl's most sad place. Seeing the girl's gloomy face, Chen Ping'an, even a fool, knew that the situation was bad, and quickly changed the topic. Why did you hurt so badly before? Girl, and now it's like most of you have recovered. The girl's eyebrows were a little low. Her hands were around her chest, and her voice was hoarse. I was really dying at that time. If Dastu didn't save me, I would anyway. I owe you a great favor, and I shouldn't take advantage of the fight and ask you to take out 3 bags of gold, fine and copper money. And Ning Yao's life is comparable to that of Liu Shimao and others. So I'm wrong. Just treat me as if I didn't say anything. After I leave the town, I will try my best. I'll try to help you solve your worries. But I'll tell you the ugly story. I'd rather Yao only do what he can, not know that he will die, but still go to work hard with others. Change his life. Perhaps the girl's bold to admit her mistake was too rare, so she was extremely depressed. Chen Ping'an asked, "Which bag is the support money?" The girl pointed to one of the golden embroidered bags. Chen Ping'an took out 3 copper coins from the inside, held them in the palm of his hand, pushed the 3 bags horizontally in front of the girl with his arm, and said with a smile, "These are for you." The girl was stunned after a long time. She asked, "Chen Ping'an, when you were a child, your brain was pinched by the door panel?" Chen Ping'an said reluctantly, "No. When I helped people herd cattle when I was a child, I was often thrown by the cow's tail." The girl suddenly flew into a rage, patted the table and asked, "Do you like me?" Chen Ping'an was numb, with a grin. The girl held out her thumb to Chen Ping'an and said, "Good vision." Then she bent her thumb, pointed to herself, and said brightly, "What I won't promise. The man I like better, Yao must be the most powerful sword fairy in the world." The most powerful sword fairy in the world. What Taoist Buddha and Confucian say should bow their heads and make way before his sword. Chen Ping'an blushed, scratched his head and said, "Miss Ning, you misunderstood. I didn't like you. Double quotes." As soon as the girl picked her eyebrows, she thought about it. She leaned forward, narrowed her eyes, raised her hand, left an inch of distance between her thumb and index finger. She was guilty and asked, "I don't like it so much." Chen Ping'an said firmly, "No, don't worry, Miss Ning." The girl took back her hand, sighed heavily, and said piteously, "Chen Ping'an, even if you get lucky to marry your daughter-in-law in the future, most of you are also heartless." Chen Ping'an sat across the table and said with a happy smile, "As long as she is nice." The girl was non-committal, just like her mother said. It is because each has its own fate and may not be higher or lower. But her father also has different opinions on this. Don't force in your life. It doesn't mean you don't ask at all. It's still a request. If you still ask in the end, it's another matter. Of course, her father would never dare to say these words to her mother face to face. Chen Ping'an asked casually, "Miss Ning also came to our town to ask for an opportunity?" The girl didn't hide anything and replied, "I used up all the money I had accumulated from my adventures and added a favor to get into the town. But I'm different from those people. I don't ask for any chance. I just want someone to help me forge a sword. It's best to suit my heart. Whether it's sharp or not, whether I can carry a large amount of sword spirit is a very secondary thing." Chen Ping'an wondered. Casting a sword, the girl said, "Master Ruin, the blacksmith, has a great reputation here. He also has a rule of iron can move. He only casts one sword every 30 years. The reason why he is willing to come here to replace Jian is that it's suitable to open the furnace and cast the sword. I'll take a chance to see if he is willing to cast the sword for me. If he can't, I can't do anything. I'll consider myself unlucky." Chen Ping'an said with a smile, "Good people are rewarded." The girl was powerless and said, "There's no way." She glanced at the boy. "Doesn't your left hand hurt?" Chen Ping'an was stunned. "It hurts. She doubted. Then you don't look like it, Chen Ping'an said. Even if I roll all over the ground and shout, it won't stop hurting. The girl patted her forehead. There's no way. You have the same virtue as my father, but your ability is far worse than him. Chen Ping'an smiled and stopped talking. He looked quietly at the yard outside the house. The girl pushed the 3 bags of copper money back. I don't want it. Chen Ping'an took back his side and whispered, Miss Ning, have you ever thought that it's not necessarily a good thing for me to keep them? I'm more sure of this after meeting Mr. Dao Zhe double quotes after the girl decided one thing. She would never change it again. She shook her head and said, That's your business. It has nothing to do with me. I've thought about it. I'll repay you for your life-saving kindness in the future. I'll never cut corners and live up to the name Ninyang. But you must be good in these years. Don't die if you don't pay attention. You just have to survive this period of time. The young man, who has always been good at talking, interrupted the girl's words for the first time. It was Lu Deishang and Miss Ning who saved you, so you don't have to feel indebted. If I didn't think I was dead at that time, I thought I could let Lu Deishang do more for my parents. Otherwise, I wouldn't open the door at all. The girl hummed coldly. That's your business. The boy smiled and repeated her words. That's your business. Big eyes and small eyes. The girl took the lead in losing the battle and said to herself, If you like me, I really can't promise you. Chen Ping'an put his hands around his head. There's nothing he can do about such a strange girl. At this time, someone climbed into the courtyard from the courtyard wall. The person who would do so did not think about it. It must be Liu Xianying. After he trotted to the threshold, he was about to open his throat. It seemed that he was suddenly strangled by someone's neck and couldn't say a word. Chen Ping'an quickly got up, came to Liu Xianying and whispered, Can I live with you these 2 days? This girl may want to live with me. Liu Xianying pushed Chen Ping'an's head away like a fly rubbing its claws. He rubbed his hands and said politely, Girl, my house is big and everything is complete. If the girl doesn't dislike it, how about going to my house? The girl in black with her back to them said plainly, Dislike. Liu Xianying bared his teeth, looked at the slender and moving back of the saber and said, Girl, you don't know. 2 groups of people blocked my way over the corridor bridge and cried and begged me to sell the ancestral treasures to them. I didn't promise. Unfortunately, those people almost scolded me to death. I see you are also a foreigner who came to the town to take a chance. Although I, Liu Xianying, may not sell it to you, I let the girl cross my eyes. I put my eyes and be willing to help you, no problem. Nin Yao still said indifferently, No need. Liu Xianying sat in the original position of Chen Ping'an. After seeing the appearance of the girl in black, his eyes lit up and said, Girl, don't see the outside so much. Chen Ping'an and I are just crowded in this broken house. Girl, you won't feel constrained after you go to my big house. It seems that you don't even have a place to put your hands and face. Nin Yao replied with a straight face. Good intentions. People go cool. Liu Xianying didn't feel embarrassed either. He got up and said, Well, the golden nest and silver nest are not as good as his own grass nest. Understand? Liu Xianying pulled Chen Ping'an out of the threshold and propped the teenager with his elbow. What's the matter? Chen Ping'an said, I can't make it clear for a while. Just say whether I can go to your side. Liu Xianying said with a wide eye. There's nothing you can do about it, but you'll have to promise me to help me keep an eye on Jigui. Don't let Song Jixin's little beast spoil her by force. At that time, you have to help me keep my future daughter-in-law innocent. Chen Ping'an said without hesitation. Don't think about it. Liu Xianying patted Chen Ping'an on the shoulder and said earnestly, Just think you promised. The girl in black suddenly turned her head and said, Do you know you're a born soldier? The reason why the porcelain bear didn't take you out when you were 9 years old should be to let you absorb more aura here. This choice is right done, so you must seize the opportunity to let Master Ron accept you as an apprentice. Remember, at least you are a disciple. And it's best to be a legitimate disciple. As for the closed-door disciple, don't expect. Your talent is not as good as that exaggeration. Liu Xianying smiled and nodded hard. He said yes. Yes. Then looked back at Chen Ping'an, pointed to the girl in the room, and then pointed to his head. Chen Ping'an said, "She's telling the truth. Don't take it seriously." Liu Xiaoyan stopped laughing and said in a low voice, "I don't think something's right. There are two groups of people on the corridor bridge. Guess who led the way? It's Lu Jianjun's turtle grandson on Fulu Street. Isn't this the weasel paying New Year's greetings to the chicken? I haven't lost my money, dog. Why should I do business with them? Besides, that armor is an old thing left by my family for generations. I want to sell it. I dream about my grandfather in my dream in the future. I can't scold him half to death." After hearing all this, Chen Ping'an was like a great enemy. "You should be careful that Lu Jiangchun and those foreigners are not easy to provoke." The boy turned and asked, "Miss Ning, do you know the origin of those people?" The girl in black nodded. "The old man and the girl are from Jianyang Mountain. They can be regarded as the famous indecent six in Dongbao Pingshu. The old man is no human. In short, he is 100 times more powerful than Funan Hiwa or Cai Zhenjian. The woman and his son are not simple. In fact, those who can enter the town together are certainly not ordinary rich people. The woman has a deep city, and the little boy doesn't look like a kind-hearted person. So I advise your friend to let Master Ruan recognize his disciple quickly. Which means that there is a life talisman beside him, that no matter how high the mountain is and how thick the background is, no one dares to break his wrist with a saint in the town." Chen Ping'an asked Liu Xiaoyan again, "Are you sure to be Master Ruan's apprentice?" Liu Xiaoyan was a little tangled and hesitated. This is not the first day when he went to be an apprentice helper. Master Ruan looked at me like old man Yao at that time. It is estimated that he would observe me for a period of time before making a decision whether to accept an apprentice. It's just. Chen Ping'an glared. Liu Xiaoyan smiled. But Master Ruan had a precious daughter who could eat very well. I was shocked. So he joked a little, unexpectedly. When the girl was making iron, she swung the hammer. It was called a fierce bully. She was very shy at ordinary times. I didn't expect her to joke so much at that time. She made her cry. Unfortunately, she hit his father right. "Look at me, there's something wrong with your eyes. I'm sure there's no shadow of recognizing the apprentice. But anyway, I don't want to be an apprentice of cattle and horses. It's enough for us to have served old man Yang with a strange temper. I don't want to make a bowl of rice in the blacksmith shop. Chen Ping'an looked up with a black face. Liu Xiaoyan, who was more than half a head taller than the straw sandal boy, lowered his head and dared not face the boy. This scene made Ning Yao feel a little confused. This is also the first time the girl saw Chen Ping'an really angry. Chen Ping'an asked in a low voice, "Do you have some more locust leaves on you when you pass by the old locust tree?" Liu Xiaoyan shook his head and said, "No, it's the fortune teller who always likes to pick a woman. He said some bad words to me. I almost smashed his stall." Chen Ping'an's face changed slightly. His eyebrows frowned tightly. Turned to the house and asked, "Miss Ning, in exchange, 3 bags of gold, fine and copper money. You okay? And whether it will cause you big trouble, please make it clear in advance." The girl in black thought carefully. "It's a lot of trouble, but it's not a big problem. But you must be careful these 2 days to keep your friends from running around the street. After all, I'm in a bad situation," she added. "2 groups of people, 2 bags of money. Let Master Ruan recognize an apprentice. Another bag of money. In short, I will charge several bags of money for several things. Don't worry. Since I promise, I will have a guaranteed harvest of 2 bags." Chen Ping'an ran into the house and hurriedly pushed the 2 bags of money, including Yinchan money, to the girl. "Take it." The girl was not a procrastinator, she didn't refuse. After putting away 2 bags of copper money, she smiled and said, "There are many people in the world who hold money in their pockets, and you like to be a money boy." The boy did not refuse this time. He nodded and said with a smile, "Money is very important, very important, very important." Liu Xiaoyan, who had been kept in the dark, said angrily, "Chen Ping'an, are you crazy? Why give her the money? 2 bags of copper money. How long will it be enough for you?" Chen Ping'an didn't have a good way. "Can you manage my money?" Liu Xiaoyan said boldly, "Your money is my money. If I borrow money from you, do you have the cheek to urge me to repay it? Chen Ping'an didn't speak and fell into meditation. Liu Xiaoyan also realized that his gags were inappropriate and shut up. For a moment, the atmosphere in the room was a little heavy. Chen Ping'an asked, Miss Ning, you really want single quotes double quotes? The girl in black glanced at the white scabbard sword on the table, nodded and said, no problem. Then she couldn't help but say, Mom, are you bored? You still say you're not a bad man. Chen Ping'an smiled. Liu Xiaoyan thought for a moment and didn't speak. The tall boy finally hit his words in his stomach and thought, girl, you probably haven't seen the other side of this guy. Chen Ping'an seldom has a bad time to talk. But once it's hard to talk, Chen Ping'an will really be very hard to talk. He met Liu Xiaoyan. I should have seen Song Jixin next door. Not long after Liu Xiaoyan came to the mud bottle lane, another rare guest came to the alley. The elegant green shirt reading Lang Zhaoyu was somewhat like the teacher Che Jingchen. Zhaoyu was the eldest son of one of the 4 big surnames in the town. Compared with Lu Zhenchun's idle dandies, Zhaoyu, who also came from a rich family, has a good reputation. Many lonely and widowed old people in the town have received the favor of teenagers. If this is the so-called famous scholars raise their hopes in the wild in books, it seems that he overestimates Zhang Yu's ambition and is a bit of a villain's hard to comfort a gentleman. After all, from the age of 10, the youth has been such a kind-hearted nature. Year after year, without any slack, even the old man who watched the young man grow up in Fulu Street should stretch out his thumb. Every time he scolds his children, he always takes Zhao Yao out as a reason, which makes Zhao Yao have few friends among his peers. Lu Zhenchun's inspiring sexual freedom, and he doesn't like to deal with a nerd who is all day long. Imagine that everyone is excited to climb the wall to peep at the pretty widow. As a result, someone is talking about being rude and don't look at it. Isn't it a great waste of scenery? In short, young Zhao Yan likes to deal with people outside Fulu Street these years. He has almost walked through all lanes, large and small, except the mud bottle lane, because Song Jixin lives in this alley. A peer who often makes Zhao Yao feel ashamed. However, if you really want to be friends, Zhao Yao probably only recognizes Song Jixin as a chess friend. Although he has been losing to Song Jixin in chess for so many years, he is determined to win or lose. His obsession with winning chess is determined to win dart in fight. Zhao Yao has always admired Song Jixin with great talent. However, Zhao Yao is a little lost because his intuition tells him that Song Jixin is laughing with himself. He is usually close to each other, but he never seems to be regarded as a real friend and confidant. Although Zhao Yao had never visited Song Jixin's family before, when he saw a house, he knew that it must be Song Jixin's family. That it originated from the Spring Festival couplet posted at the door. There were many words, and it was Song Jixin's words at first sight. The reason was very simple. In fact, the style was interchangeable. It could be said that the words were almost different. For example, the word Yufeng was completed at one go. Do what you want. It's very floating. The word yuan is beside the word water, which is particularly profound and long. Strange word. That big mention. Great spirit. Thunderous. The word country is written in a neutral and peaceful manner, like a sage sitting upright without picking out any defects. Standing at the gate of the hospital, Zhao Yu almost forgot to knock. He leaned forward and looked at the words. He was lost. He just felt that he was about to lose the courage to knock. It is precisely because he practiced calligraphy diligently and wrote many calligraphy posts that he knew more about the strength, wit, and spirit of those words. Dejected, Zhao Yao took out a money bag, bent down and put it at the door, ready to leave without saying goodbye. At this time, the gate of the courtyard suddenly opened. Zhao Yao looked up and saw that Song Jixin seemed to be going out with his maid Jigui. They talked and laughed. Song Jixin pretended to be surprised and drunk. Zhao Yao, what do you want to do with this gift? Zhao Yu was embarrassed to pick up the money bag and was about to explain why. Song Jixin took away the embroidered bag and said with a smile, Yo, Zhao Yu came to the door to give gifts. Take them. But I said in advance that I am a poor family. But I don't have a gift that can make Brother Zhao into the eyes of the law. If you don't go, it's impolite. Zhao Yu smiled bitterly and said, "This bag is worth more money. Thought it should be my parting gift. There is no need to return gifts." Song Jixen turned to his maidservant and smiled knowingly. He handed her the money bag. "Look, I said Zhao Yao is the most polite scholar in the town. But how about it?" After receiving the money bag, the girl held it on her chest. She smiled and narrowed her eyes. She was very happy. She gave a little blessing on her side. "Thank you, Mr. Dao Zhao Dao. My young master said that there is Yuqing in the family of accumulating good deeds, and there is a blessing field for those who do good deeds. Here, I wish Mr. Dao Zhao a bright future." Zhao Yao quickly saluted and bowed and said, "Thank you for your kind words." Song Jixen touched back of his head and yawned. "You're not tired?" Zhigui smiled and said, "If you couldn't get a bag of money every time, you won't be tired if you give 10,000 blessings." Zhao Yu said with some shame, "I'm going to disappoint Zhigui." Song Jixen waved his hand. "Go and drink." Zhao Yu looked embarrassed. Song Jixen urged the law and said, "A straw bag. Reading only reads rigid rules. No celebrities and celebrities." "How can you do it?" Zhao Yu asked tentatively. "Drink a little to make you happy," Song Jixen said. "I'm drunk." Zhao Yu was about to speak when Song Jixen hugged her neck and dragged her away. When the maid Zhigui locked the door, the four-legged snake wanted to sneak out and was kicked back to the yard by her dad. When she passed the house next door, she quietly stood on tiptoe and glanced at Liu Xianxia's tall figure. The latter also found her and immediately smiled brightly. Liu Xianxiang was about to say hello to her. She had taken back her sight and walked away quickly. There is a restaurant in the town, but it's really small. But the cost is not small after all. Zhao Yao is the son of the Zhao family, and his reputation is good. The restaurant shopkeeper, who is a famous iron rooster, doesn't know which missile is wrong today. He patted his chest and said he won't charge a penny. He can let the scholars come to the shop to enjoy drinking. It's his restaurant that is flourishing, and the two childs the right to charge him. Song Jixen immediately smiled and stretched out his hand. He begged for silver on the spot. The shopkeeper angrily found himself under the steps and said he owed. Tomorrow, he asked someone to send some jars of good wine to Mr. Dao Cong. Zhao Yao wanted to dig a hole in the ground at that time. The shopkeeper always knew the strange temperament of young Master Song in the mud bottle lane, but he was not really angry. He personally found an elegant and quiet window position for the three on the second floor. Song Jixen didn't talk much with Zhao Yang, and Song Jixen didn't persuade people to drink, which surprised Zhao Yao, who had regarded death as a return. Looking from the window on the second floor of the restaurant, you can just see a plaque of the 12-foot memorial archway. "You should do your part," Song Jixen asked. "Mr. Dao Zhi really doesn't leave town with you?" Zhao Yang nodded and said, "See, I temporarily changed my itinerary, and said I would stay in the school and teach the penultimate chapter." "Surely," Song Jixen sighed. "Then Mr. Dao Zhi wants to tell the world a great truth. He is the supreme sage of Confucianism. He tells us that at the beginning of the world, there was no law, and the saints educated all sentient beings with rights. At that time, the monarchs all advocated etiquette and thought that if rights were contrary to reason, they would be punished. So there was law, etiquette, and law. Etiquette and law first, and then law. Double quotes Zhang Yu was a little drunk and blurry. He asked, "Do you think it's right? Why don't you just teach the last one, scrupulous etiquette?" Song Jixen's answer was not what he asked. Before going out of the town, he was like a mandrill, a water ghost, a fairy, and a monster. If you believe it, you will have it, and if you don't believe it, you won't have it. As for how Mr. Dao Zhi teaches and how students listen, let's live in peace. The maid Zhigui also drank a glass of wine. She was dizzy and playful. She didn't look at the towering archway from beginning to end. The 12-legged archway and the stone column base are 9 different animals of 9 cents born by the dragon, except white tiger, swan wu, and rosefinch. It is no wonder that the people of the town have lived here for generations. Zhao Yao couldn't help burping. He staggered to his feet and said, "Goodbye to you, I hope to see you again. Song Jigson thought about it, got up and said with a smile, I'll see you again. Zhao Yu, don't worry about having no confidence in the future. Zhao Yao, who was dazzled with 2 eyes, bit his tongue and said sincerely, Song Jigson, you can leave the town as soon as possible. Anyone in the world doesn't know you, you can. Song Jigson obviously didn't take it seriously. He waved his hand and said, let's go. It's humiliating to talk drunk. After Zhao Yao and Song Jigson left the restaurant, they parted ways. Before Zhao Yao left, it was probably Zhu Zhuang who encouraged people and asked, Song Jigson, do you want to go to the official residence of the kill supervisor? I can convince the porter. Song Jigson's face was cold and the word jumped out of his teeth. Get out. Zhao Yao left suddenly. The maid Zhigui looked at the figure and whispered, Young master, I'm also kind. Song Jigson sneered. The good intentions of good people in the world will end up with bad results. Is there less? She thought, as if it was such a boring truth. So she stopped insisting. The Fulu Street where Zhao Yao lives is in the north of the town, and the Mud Bottle Lane is in the west of the poor. When Song Jigson and her maid walked side by side through the memorial archway, she looked up at the plague of angry bullfighting, like an old man in the twilight. The girl whose real name is Wang Zhu doesn't show her teeth. After Zhao Yao returned to his ancestral home on Fulu Street, his servants told him that his ancestors were waiting for him in the study and that he must go there immediately. He couldn't stop for a moment. The drunken green-shirted scholar Lan immediately had a big head and went to the study. The Zhao family is not exposed in the small town. They are rich and introverted. Unlike the Lu family, they like to boast of their scholarly family. Their study is also very antique. The old woman holding a crutch was standing next to a bookcase and stroking the table. Her face was full of sad memories. The old woman was not angry when she smelled the strong wine smell of her eldest son outside the door. She smiled and waved. You son, come in and pestle at the door. What's a man drinking wine? It's not horse urine. It's not embarrassing. Zhao Yao crossed the threshold with a wry smile and saluted his ancestors respectfully. The old woman said impatiently, there are too many books. It's just that it's no good. Rules and regulations make the reader tired of beating the wall all his life. Let's say that your grandfather is the top of everything. He only talks about the big trees and nagging with me. It's really annoying. Especially his style. Tut. Especially the leg of beating. I just say that he can't wait for a crutch to hit him. Double quotes. The old woman was suddenly amused by herself and laughed. I almost forgot that I couldn't use a crutch at that time. She asked with a smile. Why? Drinking with the little white-eyed wolf surnamed Song. Zhao Yao said reluctantly. Grandma, how many times have I told you? Song Jigson is very talented and has a high understanding. He can learn everything quickly. The old woman sneered and said, he is the smartest. But your grandfather was 3 years old before he died. He saw the old man and died of that little thing. Do you want to know what your grandfather said? Zhao Yao quickly replied, my grandson doesn't want to know. The old woman didn't care whether the baby grandson would listen or not, and said to herself, your grandfather said, at a young age, the city government is deep. You can only defeat the family voice of your ancestors. You must be the same person. Then she pointed to Zhao Yao. Your grandfather also said, it's nothing strange at first to be gentle, kind, courteous and thrifty. But it's the one who cultivates the vitality of his children and grandchildren, who will be my children too. After the old woman finished, she smiled. That old boss, sour all his life, finally said a good word to his ear. Zhao Yougen, who had some doubts, was about to speak. He only heard his grandmother sigh and sigh. Old. The young man had to take back the words and smiled and came forward to hold the old woman's arm. Grandma is younger than Nanshan. The old woman stretched out her dry palm and patted the back of her baby grandson's hand. It's better than your grandfather. I don't know how to talk nonsense and speak good words to people. The young man smiled and said, Grandpa is really learned. Mr. Dao Cheng also said that Grandpa has a way to study and understand the word righteousness. He has a lot of experience. The old woman immediately showed her foxtail and couldn't hide her complacency. But she wanted to pretend to be cold and calm. That's not, and it doesn't depend on who picked the man. Zhao Yu closed his lips and held back his smile. The old woman took Zhao Yu to the chair behind the bookcase. The young man found that there was a Wallong wood carving on the bookcase, which was lifelike. But I didn't know why. After careful observation, he found that the blue wooden dragon had no eyes. The old woman picked up a brush that had already been dipped in ink. It was a brand new small cone pen made of old locust branches. She held it in her hands and handed it to her eldest son. Zhao Yao took over the brush without knowing it. His shoulder sank. It turned out that his grandmother put his hand on his shoulder. He took the seat that only Zhao's master could take. The old woman took a step back and said solemnly, "Zhao Yu, take your seat. Today it's up to you to brighten the dragon for the ancestors of the Zhao family." A dilapidated clay statue of God, on the barren grass ground, is crooked and no one cares. This has been the case for thousands of years, and even mud statues will be reduced here. The people in the town are not only strange about many things, but also don't have much respect for these statues for a long time. The old man occasionally nags his children not to come here to play, but the young children still like to come here to play hide and seek, catch crickets, etc. Maybe when these children grow up and become old people, they will also tell the children not to come here to play. Generation after generation, they come here without wind, rain, and waves. Here, the rolling head, the broken trunk, and the separated palms seem to be put together reluctantly to maintain their original appearance. But only this face is left. As Straw Sandal Boy hurried here from the Mud Bottle Lane, he held 3 pieces of support money in his hand. When he came here, he walked around and read it in pieces. Then he found the statue of God very skillfully, squatted down and looked around. There was no human shadow. Then he quietly put the copper money into the crack of the statue. Get up and look for the second and third dot. They will do so. Before the boy left, he stood alone in the green grass, folded his hands, bowed his head and said, "Broken piece, broken piece. I hope you will protect my parents from hardship in the next life. If you can, please tell my parents that I'm doing well now. Don't worry.